What's up, everybody? It's your boy Fox McFly, the guy that appreciates if you wear cologne and deodorant, but it is not a substitute for a bath or a shower. So please continue to bathe regularly and keep wearing that cologne and deodorant. You deserve to smell good. And it feels good to be back. I was gone for a few days, went to the beach, which brings me the topic to this video. You would think it would be the beach, but it's not. All I really did was go for a walk, sit on the beach, listen to music, drink a little bit of beer, and cook out. So not a lot went on. The topic of this video is actually going to be about the movie Evil Dead Burn. So editing Foxy here. I probably should have stated I am not a movie reviewer. I don't plan on ever being one. I'm actually terrible at describing things. So if this makes absolutely no sense, I completely get it, and I will do better next time. I'll actually compile my thoughts instead of just going off the dome. But not a movie reviewer. Just wanted to talk about a movie. Just throwing that out there. Just to get it out of the way, this video may contain spoilers for the movie Evil Dead Burn. So if you plan on seeing it and don't want it potentially spoiled, go ahead, click off the video. I completely understand. I'm a huge Evil Dead fan. If I could have seen it on opening night, I would have, but the beach was more important. So I did end up seeing it yesterday. So you're a huge Evil Dead fan. You don't want it spoiled, potentially spoiled. Go ahead, click off. If you see it, come back to this video. Tell me what the part that made you sick the most and what part you thought was the coolest. So that's going to be it. There's things about the movie that I'll get into in a minute. So we're going to sit here. We're going to do the Circle of Slaughter. I tried doing the takedown, but I'm just not feeling it. Honestly, I think it's harder for me to concentrate and get my points across with this movie than if I could just turn off my brain and shoot grabs at people. So I'll get into some things in a moment, because there are some things that are specific to this Evil Dead movie that others did not. So I want to go ahead and say that this movie does have different trigger warnings than the other movies do. So the new ones are going to be, and these are ones that were they're on the fence for me, man, because I don't have like a lot of trigger warnings, but the two that this one had were the two that I actually do have. And one of them is going to be DV, and the other one is animal cruelty. So if you don't mess with that, I would say go ahead, skip this one. Wait till it comes to streaming. There are websites that will tell you exactly where the triggers are. So if you do want to watch it, but you don't want to see that, you can skip. So if that's your cup of tea, wait for it to come to streaming, learn where the triggers are, and just skip them. That's something that in the movie theaters, me and my buddy Oni went to see it together, and we happened to be the only people in the theater. And when those happened, me and him, we looked at each other and we were both like, okay, yeah, that was something that I didn't care for. And that comes from two guys that we watched Terrifier 1, 2, and 3 together, and there was just something about those specific things that really just it irked us the wrong way. So just be mindful. There are new trigger warnings. Other than that, it's just typical Evil Dead. So, Evil Dead already, the 2013 and Evil Dead Rise had their own, triggers, but it was still in that same vein of like Evil Dead. When this one, it kind of took it a little bit further. So just keep that in mind. I know I harped on it a lot, but if you're uncomfortable watching a movie and it kind of hits a nerve, don't watch it or skip ahead. Wait for the timestamps and skip ahead. So other than that, I would say the movie was a solid 7. If you look at the reviews online, you'll see that it's either a love or hate kind of thing. And where I didn't hate it, but I didn't completely love it, I'm going to probably give it another watch. When it comes to streaming, I would assume that it's not going to be in theaters long, considering we're the only people in the theater. Granted, it was a Monday, but it is the summertime and no kids are in school, but I don't think it's going to be in the theater much longer. The workers were coming in to check to see if anyone was in the theater, because I guess they were going to cut the show. So they came in multiple times, so it'll probably come to streaming pretty soon. So I want to go ahead. I want to get it started off with the negatives. I know this is like a movie review instead of like Borderlands, like typical content, but I'm just trying to hit flow state. So I got to play my favorite series. But yeah, so I want to go ahead. I want to get started with the things that I did not like first, because everyone is usually like positives than negatives, but I want to get started with what I didn't care for the first, other than, obviously the trigger warnings. So Sam Raimi directed this one, and my biggest, you gotta be shitting me, my biggest complaint with this movie was the camera work, man. At points, it was fine. At other points, it actually made me feel sick. Not because of Evil Dead stuff, but because of how shaky it was. Like, there'd be action scenes, and the camera's like, and it just made me, I felt lightheaded. At one point, I thought that my blood sugar dropped, and I was like, whoa. And when we got out of the movie, I brought that up to my friend. I was like, I think I gotta go eat or something, because I feel like I'm about to pass out. And he was like, no, dude, it was the camera work. I feel the exact same. And sure enough, as soon as we hit the outside, it immediately disappeared. So that was one thing I didn't really care for. I'll have to go back and watch Evil Dead Rise again to see about their camera work. But from what I remember, I don't remember Evil Dead Rise having all that shaky camera work. And then the other thing that I did not care for was the continuity of the lore. The lore made no sense. The movie started off very, very strong, and then it just seems like it just slowly fell apart, and there's so many like continuity errors and just like parts in the movie where you're like, okay, spoiler ahead. There's parts in the movie where they have to find a knife that will release the demons that the Necronomicon possessed. So there's a knife that they have to find in order for them to release the demons, like to not kill the person, but apparently if you stab them, then the demon just leaves the body. What heckin'? Oh, war paint. Yeah, let me go with that'll give me a little bit of healing. But the continuity errors, like they're like the knife, they have to find it in order to release the family members from like the demon spell. From what it seemed like, it didn't kill them, but it was just going to release the demons. It didn't work out that way in the movie. Like, she totally still killed people with a knife, but what was crazy about it was like they're spending all this time to find the knife, and she used it like maybe once and then never again. And they even made it a point in the movie. So a little bit of lore from the Evil Dead. Each Necronomicon has its own knife that helps defeat the demons. What the fuck is going on, dude? So each Necronomicon has a knife to help defeat the demons. I swear to God. That was not a good specialization to put on there. Let's see. I'll put some damage reduction. This part pisses me off every time. By the way, me and my buddy Oni played this Circle of Slaughter last night, and we cleared all 5. But his cash build is actually stupid. It's really good. But yeah, so anyways, so each Necronomicon book has a knife that's supposed to release the demons from the people to get them to go back to normal. Not kill, from what it seemed like, but there is a part in the movie where, you know, one of the residents of the house goes to try and find the knife, and she finds it, she uses it once. And they even made a point in the movie that she finds one of the knives, I can't remember what it's called, but she finds one of the knives, and she stabs one of the demons with it, and he looks at her and goes, nope, wrong knife, because each book has its own knife. So it's actually really funny. I was laughing so hard, because it reminded me of the Cat Williams skit. But she has like, it's like a coffee cup full of knives, and she just keeps grabbing one, stabbing them, just like individual times until she finally gets the right one, and then you see the demon release. But dude, it reminded me of that Cat Williams skit where he is like, I was like, She stabbed him 16 consecutive times. Do you know what that means? That's one after the motherfucking next one. I was laughing so hard. But she goes through all this stuff happens just for her to like use the knife once. So it was like, what was the plot for that? Like, what was the point to like find it, use it once, and you still got like 6 people that are possessed that you got to use them on, and then you don't use it. She just ends up killing them. I was like, what was the point of that? So that was another thing that I had an issue with. It was just like the continuity, it wasn't there. It's like some of the plot points seem pointless. The movie started off very strong, very, very strong. The opening scene, it'll make you cringe, and it'll make you feel uncomfortable, but it starts off super strong. You're like, all right, this is what we're in for. This is an Evil Dead movie. And then as the movie goes on, it just kind of slowly goes off the rails, and like the plot starts to not make sense, and it almost like contradicts itself. You're like, what was the point of this? What was the point of that? And it just kind of, it slowly stops making sense, or like just for reasons like you're gonna roll your eyes at like some of the decisions, and you're just gonna be like, what was the point? What was the point? So a lot of the plot points just don't make sense. I'm still gonna give it a 7 out of 10 though, because I'm gonna see it again. I'm gonna give it another shot, and we'll see if it makes sense. The first time I saw Evil Dead Rise, I didn't like it, but I really like Evil Dead Rise. I think it's a really good addition. And then of course, but nothing's gonna beat the 2013 Evil Dead. I gotta go back and rewatch or watch the ones from the 80s, and then watch some of the Ash versus the Evil Dead and Army of Darkness and stuff, just so I can maybe make a tier list, because I love Evil Dead. But anyways, so back to Evil Dead Rise. I loved Evil Dead Rise. Not on the first watch. It took me maybe my second watch, and then my third watch, and my fourth watch, and my fifth watch. And then I was like, yeah, you know what? This is actually a solid addition. It may not be the best Evil Dead movie, but I really enjoyed the plot. I liked the twists and turns, and I liked Evil Dead Rise. I know that's not a popular opinion, but it's an Evil Dead movie. So, but this one will this one may have that same potential. We'll have to figure it out. So, the things that I do like about the movie, the brutality, 100%. 100%. The brutality was insane. It's gonna make you cringe. It's gonna make you look away from the screen. I feel like the brutality compared to Evil Dead Rise, it's almost in the same vein from the 2013 Evil Dead. It's almost in the same vein. I would say, man, I don't know which one was more brutal. They might be on par, or this new Evil Dead Burn have been more brutal. It's almost like if you guys have seen like Terrifier 2, it's kind of similar in that brutality a little bit. Like the opening scene is going to make you uncomfortable, and then the scene after that's going to try and start to set the tone, and then it's going to get uncomfortable again, and then you're going to have maybe about 15 minutes of feeling like, okay, here's some story, and then 15 minutes later, it's just going to slowly start to turn it up. And that's what I really appreciated about this movie. I like the fact that, with Evil Dead Rise, off the first rip that I saw it, I didn't really care for the pacing. It just felt like it was like slow, fast, and then like, I don't know how to describe it, but you guys kind of know what I mean. It's probably one of the reasons why a lot of people don't like Evil Dead Rise. But it was one of those things where it's like the pacing actually felt good. The plot may have like fallen apart, but the movie has good pacing. Like, it's a 2-hour movie, and I felt like I wasn't even in the theater for maybe like 30 minutes. Like, the pacing's really good. It's just the camera angles and some of the plot points and just the stupidity. Maybe that was the point, though, to show stupidity of the characters. That might be the point, because if they're terrified out their minds, she may not been thinking, because they're scared, they're mad. I'm gonna rewatch it, and we'll come back and do a redo. But yeah, the pacing was phenomenal. I wasn't bored at any point. I was just maybe a little bit motion sick of the camera angles. So the brutality is there for an Evil Dead movie. It's brutal. Yeah, I don't want to. I can't go into basically anything that happens, because probably get taken down. Um, but yeah, very brutal. Pacing is good. The concept behind those knives with the Necronomicon was really cool, and it was one of the things of the lore that I did look up before going to see the movie. And it's really cool lore. I like how they incorporated and they gave you more backstory to like all these things, and really cool there. It just it slowly falls apart with the story, but we get lore. So having some more Evil Dead lore is really cool. So those are the big pluses for me. Pacing is a huge thing for me when it comes to movies, because if there's like too much of a lull, I'm gonna zone out. And if I'm watching a movie at home alone, I'm just gonna have to rewind it and watch the scene again. But this one, it kept my attention the whole time, even if it was a hard watch. It was a hard watch, I mean gore. So even though it was a little bit hard watch, I enjoyed it. So it is one that if you're an Evil Dead fan, you have to see it. If you're an Evil Dead fan, you're probably going to have the same opinion I do. You may even like it more than I do. You might rank it higher than I do. And if you do, let me know. If you've seen Evil Dead Burn, if you went this weekend to see Evil Dead Burn, what was your favorite and least favorite part? Don't get graphic. Just say, that part with this, and then don't say anything. And if you did see it and you hated it, what was your reason for not liking it? Do you plan, if you don't plan on going to theaters to see it, do you plan on seeing it at all? I think as an Evil Dead fan, it is a must see, and you're probably gonna like it. You may have a little bit of issues with some of the trigger warnings I said before, but for the most part, you're gonna have a fun time. And don't eat before you see it. Do not eat before you see it. There's some scenes that are just, they're rough. You might not be able to hold down your food. But yeah, other than that, had a great time watching the movie. After talking about it, I really want to watch it again. I wouldn't be surprised if my buddy Oni watched it again. And he already said that he's going to watch it for free again. I don't know how. We know how. But he's going to watch it again. He's like, I'll give you an update when I watch it again. If it's worth the watch, I'll watch it for free again with you. I don't know how he's going to do that. We know how he's going to do that. I don't know how he's going to do it, but we got to give it a second go. But I might have to give it a week or so. I might actually go back and rewatch Evil Dead Rise. I was going to do it the night that I got back from the beach, but I was like, I don't want to watch this before I fall asleep at night. You got to be shitting my dick in half right now, dude. What the fuck? Jesus Christ. But yeah, I ended up being like, I'm not watching this. I'm not watching this at like, I don't want to sound old, man, but I don't want to watch this at 10:30 at night. But I may watch it tonight, or I might have to watch Family. I actually dreamt about Evil Dead Burn last night, and there was no plot. It was just the gross parts, and I woke up at one point and just stared at the ceiling for about 30 minutes and went back to sleep. I don't get scared easy, man. I genuinely don't get bothered by a lot of stuff. Pretty easy going, but I don't know, man. Maybe it's because that movie hit a couple of my trigger warnings, and it really kind of stuck with me. But yeah, I dreamt about it last. There was no plot. It was just like all the gross parts of the movie, but that's one. I'm probably not going to watch Evil Dead Rise tonight. I can probably do the 2013 Evil Dead, maybe one from the 80s, but yeah, man, crazy ride. My final verdict would be, and I'll sit still for this. My final verdict would be, so if you have trigger warnings, go ahead, wait for the movie to come to streaming. Look up the trigger warnings and get the timestamps and skip it. If you do want to see the movie, do that. I would not go and see it in theaters, because you're not going to know what time to like close your eyes or maybe go to the bathroom, get some popcorn or something. So if you do have those trigger warnings, that's something I wish I would have known going into it, because I may have I probably still would have gone and see it. I probably would have just closed my eyes or look away. But if you do have those triggers, just wait for streaming, please. Another good takeaway from it, it is brutal. It is very, very brutal. This may be one of the most brutal Evil Dead movies. 2013 was brutal. Evil Dead Rise I didn't think was too brutal, but it was very, very creepy. And I think that's why I liked it a lot. But this one is brutal. Very, very brutal. So that being said, if you like the 2013 one, just take that brutality and just turn it up a little. Nothing as cool as like when it's raining blood. That part was sick in the 2013, but it's very, very brutal. So be prepared. If you've seen like Terrifier 2, it might be in the same vein of brutality. I haven't seen Terrifier 2 in a while. It's not as brutal as Terrifier 3, but it's brutal. So be prepared for that. If you're a huge Evil Dead fan, I would say, and you're not bothered by any of the stuff I said before, go ahead and see it in theaters. Like, you have to. Like, it is such a good experience. When I went, like I said, me and my buddy Oni went together. We were the only people in the theater, so we were able to like laugh, but we talked, we kind of whisper talk through it. But you might be the only people in the theater, and that actually makes it a pretty good experience, because if you're with a friend, you can kind of like make comments about it. So that's pretty cool. But go see it in theaters if none of that stuff bothers you. You're an Evil Dead fan, please go see it in theaters. You're not going to be disappointed. It may not be your favorite one, it may grow on you, but definitely go see it. If you're not an Evil Dead fan, this is not an Evil Dead movie to get into at all. I would start off maybe with the one from 1981, and then maybe the one from 2013. I would say if you don't like older movies, go ahead, watch Evil Dead 2013, and then if you like that one, I would say then just go directly in order to Evil Dead 2013, Evil Dead Rise, and then Evil Dead Burn. If you're not an Evil Dead fan and you want to get into it, that's the route I would go. If you're not an Evil Dead fan and you're just like, I want to go see a horror movie, don't see it. Straight up, don't see it, dude. It's brutal. If you like Terrifier, I would say see it. But yeah, the negatives. Camera work, shit. Some of the coolest action scenes in the movie were ruined because of the camera work. I'm talking like that stuff was, hold on, where's my phone? Like, it's gonna be like, and there's a really cool scene. So spoiler, just real quick. One of my favorite scenes in the movie that I loved, but my buddy Oni hated. There's a part where there's a big like brawl between like the possessed going on, and they're thrown around the room, and one girl is just crawling around trying to escape. And the camera work is very shaky, but I thought it added to the chaotic nature of what was going on, because one dude's just getting thrown around, slammed around. He's falling from the ceiling, and the girl's just crawling, but it's following her the entire time. So you're not seeing the entire fight. You're just seeing it, like she'll be crawling and then you'll see someone like in the background go, and I thought that was so cool because it's showing like the chaotic nature and how they're just completely ignoring her. I loved it. My buddy Oni hated it because he was like, I couldn't see the action behind it, and I hated that the camera work was so shaky. So the camera work is kind of going to be a hit or miss. You might get a little bit motion sick. It will end after the movie. Like I said, me and my buddy, we both got a little bit motion sick as soon as we exited the movie. It was gone, but the fact that a movie gave us motion sickness like that has to be credited out there. And then another negative would be the continuity of the lore, not the continuity, the logic behind the lore. They implemented like really good lore at the beginning of the movie, and then it falls apart, like just the plot points fall apart as it goes on. But as a whole, they add this lore and then they just don't use it. Like, they go in so much depth about this lore just to find this knife for her to never use it. And there's like things that some of the characters do or say that just don't make sense. So that was another big thing. So the plot will slowly fall apart in the movie, but it's a fucking Evil Dead movie. We're not there for the plot. We're there for some of the plot. Like Evil Dead 2013, Evil Dead Rise, the plot actually, it was good. Like, it made sense. Like, nothing fell apart. I have to rewatch it, but from what I remember, nothing really fell apart. So that was the two big negatives that I had, but I also had two very big positives. So that's why I give it a 7. But tell me how I'm wrong in the comments. Tell me I'm wrong for liking it, or I'm wrong for giving it such a high rating, or I'm wrong for giving it such a low rating. I'm really curious if you guys have seen it. Please comment. I really want to hear your thoughts. I was trying to make this a 15-minute video, and I'm a professional yapper, man. I don't know what it is. I can talk for days. But yeah, so again, let me know in the comments what you guys think. Are you guys Evil Dead fans? Do you hate Evil Dead? Do you plan on seeing the new movie? Are you now going to skip the movie because of my thoughts and opinions? Are you now going to see the movie because of my thoughts and opinions? Are you just going to be like, I don't know what this dude's talking about, I'm going to see it anyway? Or I don't even know what an Evil Dead is. What the heck's a knife? But yeah, that was it. I was trying to make this 15 minutes, but yeah, it is what it is. I got through one. I didn't even. Okay, let's hit the button and I'll call it. I still got to eat. All right, what'd I get? Oh, Jesus Christ. I'm tired of these goddamn shiny war paints. My buddy keeps trying to find them. He's like, I can't farm them. They never drop. And I'm sitting here. I get one all the goddamn time. And I never use them. Maybe I should. I like the triple bypass because I try and tank everything. But yeah, I'm digressing. I'm just yapping. I love you sons of bitches. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.